Fans feel the beat. First and tails can't be beat. Join the crew, take your seat. Welcome to the wrestle heat. Now the birds want time to fly. Stories don't catch your eye. Talking champs till we die. The smoke's always high.
To set up the spear. Reigns cover. Roman Reigns solo. The OG Bloodline wins.
All right. Let's stop it right there. We showed a little clip from WarGames from last night, Survivor Series. Welcome back to the Malapert Smart podcast, by the way. I got Vlad and Robert with me, but I'm going to introduce them after this segment, after we review the men's WarGames from Survivor Series. But my guests are here to talk about Survivor Series. We're going to review Survivor Series and the week in WWE and AEW. But I'm going to jump right into it. So we're going to do Survivor Series now, WarGames. I played a little clip so you know that the Babyfaces won. The good guys, I guess. Here's Roman pinning Solo. But I'm going to go back and review some of it. I'm not going to do a full-on summary like some podcasts do, but I am going to just play some highlights that I picked out, and I'm going to refer the audience to the links in the description. If you haven't seen this, you can go check out a low-res version that I posted a link to. You can go watch that and come back and listen to our review if you want, or if you've already seen it. Good. Here we go. All right, so the Bloodline. This is Solo's Bloodline. Let's do a quick summary of some highlights. They came out united. They came out as one. They didn't do separate ring walk entrances. And here's Solo giving Tama Tonga a hug as he sends him out to be the first guy. And Tama Tonga, this was a pretty funny scene to me with him acting crazy. And a nice little showcase that they sent him out first. I like him. He's pretty good. But let's see. Here's the good guys. Here's all the baby faces. And the last guy who came in was Jey Uso. So that was interesting to us that he was the kind of the superstar guy who got the last ring walk entrance, right? So, but he did start the match, so that kind of made sense. But anyways, moving along. Let's move on to skipping ahead. I'm skipping like 15 minutes into the match. And this was the first time Roman, I guess he's the leader of the group or whatever, so he's choosing who goes in. So he told Sammy to go, and he held CM Punk back, right? So that was a cool little moment. That's a good little picture. And then they had to hang out in the cage together before they got released, and it was a little awkward, I guess. I like that picture too. Here's Jacob Fatu just being Jacob Fatu. No real highlight to show, but I like how he looks. All right, so this is when the second to last guy comes in, and Roman wants to be the guy to go in there, and CM Punk shoves him out of the way and pushes him and goes in fourth instead of Roman. And the referees close the cage door on Roman because once they leave the cage, I guess it's final. The decision is final. So CM Punk grabbed a tool chest, which I guess also came into play in Hell in a Cell in his match with Drew McIntyre, right?
That's true.
Man, it would have been great if Drew McIntyre showed up. He tried to reach for the toolbox, and Drew McIntyre was underneath there. But no. All right, so the men's work, I will say, looked pretty damn good. Like, the work looked solid, as opposed to the women's match, which we'll probably mention later on in the show. But I'm skipping over all the work in the match, but it all looked pretty damn great. But all right, so here's Solo coming in, looking at Roman, and Solo put a padlock on the door. This was his strategy, right, to lock the cage door. But the cage, the roof is open, so there's really no use in locking the door. If it had a roof, what do you guys think of them not having a roof on these war games? Like, isn't the point of a cage match to be locked in there, unless it's like an escape the cage match? But any comments on that?
I mean, it didn't take away from the match for me, but yes, I think historically, right? If I'm not mistaken,
the original war games had a roof. Yeah, there's supposed to be something to lock these guys in who are, in a war, and they got to settle the war. They can't escape. You know what I mean? So, but I think we mentioned last night that they get great aerial shots from the cage being open. So I'm guessing that's why they...
Aerial shots and, of course, the high spots from the cage that happen in this match.
Oh, yeah. Well,
Also, if you're leaving the cage, you're not helping your team win. So what's the point? I wouldn't think anyone would try to escape the cage, but I don't know. That's just me.
That's true too, because you can't really win that way.
Yeah, you can't win that way by leaving the cage.
That's true. I don't know, but yeah, I still think they should close the. If they're gonna have a WarGames match, it should be closed like a roof on top of it. But it didn't take away from the greatness of the match. But yeah, you're right, Cam.
They could put a camera guy in the cage if they need to get some shots. But anyways, here's Roman coming in. He's the last guy. And I think he kind of helped cleared house because it was going to be 5-on-1 for a minute. Well, he couldn't get in. So first let me talk about him getting into the cage. So like I said, the door was locked and he had to climb in. But he got the idea to climb in. And then they got cut off at the pass by Tonga Loa, I think they sent first. But he did end up getting in. And then he did a dive onto everybody. So that kind of evened the score out. So when he was coming in, it looked like they could beat his ass 5-on-1 and take this match. But no, he kind of made everything equal and got everybody up on his side, and then they faced off for a war game. Well, before that happened, Paul Heyman came in. So I guess there was a moment where it looked like Punk and Roman were going to argue about something. But heads, Paul Heyman comes in and gives them an emotional, inspirational speech, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah. Well, because Roman had also speared Punk by accident, right? Was that right?
Yeah, that's right. Earlier in the match. Yeah.
Earlier in the match, yeah.
All right, but anyways, that's when the ring announcer, I guess Alicia Taylor, her name is now, she announced War Games. So the match starts now when everyone's in the ring and they face off and some nice shots, some nice wrestling.
Yeah, of course, that's a great shot. The 5-on-5 shot with the two rings. Of course, that is a great shot.
Yup, and then what's his name? Bronson Reed goes to the top, and he's gonna do a dive onto Roman Reigns onto the table. So Bronson Reed is like 350 pounds or something. Pretty damn big guy. And CM Punk literally saved Roman Reigns' life. So he can always look back at this and tell Roman, hey, if it wasn't for me, you'd be dead, bro. So, so Bronson Reed went through that table. God, that looks crazy.
Yeah, no, it was a great spot.
And then so there's Roman looking at Punk, and he's like, yep, thank you for helping me stay alive. And then I think there's another top rope dive. This is Jey Uso, or is it Jimmy? No, it was Jimmy. Onto Jacob Fatu.
Yeah.
Or is that Jay?
No, I think that's Jimmy.
That's Jimmy.
Okay. Yeah. For some reason, they look kind of similar. So he also got the good hang time.
Really?
Well, yeah. Why? I don't know. The twins looking similar.
Well, lately I've been able to tell them apart. You know what I mean? It's not like the old days where I didn't know which one was which. But
yeah, that's true.
Anyways, the end of the match, I'm going to skip. They have Solo surrounded 5-on-1. And that's where I started playing the clip I played at the beginning of the show, and that was the pinfall. So the OG Bloodline, the original Bloodline, win the match, and CM Punk and Roman, I guess, had a moment where they were going to kind of shake hands afterwards because he was kind of left out of the group hug, right? But they had to show respect. I mean, CM Punk really did a solid for them here. I mean, shit.
He did. He did.
They gotta appreciate that. So, and then I guess the last thing that happened was Paul Heyman hugged CM Punk on the way out. So there you go. All right, reviews. So everyone submitted a review on this. Everyone gave this 2 thumbs up on the Malapert Smart rating scale. So we all loved it. I would say I was on the verge of giving it a fire and giving it 5 points on my Survivor Series review instead of 2 points, but I think the match was worked perfectly well. Everyone who in it who was working, I just think the booking was a little boring. It was just a babyface straight up win, and there was no surprise that we all thought maybe The Rock would come or something. So nothing, no surprise. They did linger at the end. They kind of hung out and made it seem like something's going to happen.
Right.
Yeah, they definitely lingered. That's for sure. Yeah.
All right, let me go to your reviews. So I'll give you guys some time to talk. No time limit for this first topic. Go ahead. Let's start with Vlad, the wrestling expert. You go ahead, man.
Yeah, I mean, it was a great match. It was, like you said, the work was tremendous. I don't think anyone could deny that. There was a couple slight criticisms. I mean, if I can for just a moment talk about some of the things I didn't like. I think there was only really one thing that happened, and that was when Jimmy went to the top of the cage and dropped that splash on, Jacob Fatu, yes. I think he was just on the table way too long, and this is a guy that's known to pop up from stuff that he just took some crazy hits and got up earlier in the match, and I think he was on the table for quite a while. That's the only thing the slight criticism that I would give on that, because if it was anybody else, I would say, like, okay, fine. If it was like one of the Tongans, okay, they're knocked out, fine. But this guy's been shown to be a monster, but he's just like passed out for like a couple minutes. I didn't really like that part of it. But outside of that, the work, the match, like the intensity, everything felt great during this whole thing, you know. But if I had to also be critical of like the ending as far as the show, not the work, the ending and who won, I thought was fine. I'm for that. I don't really have. I'm sure that, you know, WWE has a plan with what they're doing going forward. But I think like just the fact that they kind of lingered out there, and we were all expecting. I think a lot of us, and not just us. I'm sure wrestling fans that are following the show like expected The Rock to come out. I mean, Survivor Series, he'd come out previously during the match with when Roman and Cody teamed up against the Bloodline. So I think it was just like expectations of something else happening that kind of didn't, because this could have been a fire segment all the way through. Like I felt.
Yeah.
Like,
yes, me too. We thought it was gonna be. We were.
I thought it was going to be.
It was like this is great.
I mean, but you know, I mean, back to the positive stuff. Like, yeah, the match itself was tremendous. Like, I can't. There's very few criticisms. It was just like that one thing that I mentioned about Jimmy and Jacob Fatu, but otherwise, like, it was a tremendous match. Everything that these guys did was great.
Top level work.
Oh yeah.
Top level work. I mean, I think as we said during it, like, there's a reason that this is like the top feud in wrestling and has been. Like, not this like just specific to, but just why the Bloodline has been top of the wrestling world for like the last 4 years, 3 years, whatever, you know, whatever it has been. But I mean, I can't say enough good things about the work and the people in it. I like pretty much almost everybody in it. Everybody did a really good job. I mean, there's nothing negative I could say about the work and the match quality. But yeah, I think there's a little bit of like criticism that you could sometimes say about WWE is that their booking is a little bit boring, as Keon said. There is something to that, like kind of predictable.
Very safe. Two babyface WarGames teams won.
Right, exactly.
And they sent the crowd home happy, I guess.
They sent the crowd happy, yes. I mean, of course, you don't want to go the complete other way, like AEW, and just have all the heels beat the babyfaces clean either. But there has to be some happy medium between that and like just the babyfaces winning these big matches all the time. So, but I don't want to like take too much more time. I thought the match was great. I gave it 2 thumbs up. But yeah, there's always some level of criticism you could give, and I think that's fair to anything.
Yeah. All right, Robert. Let's get Robert's thoughts. So 2 thumbs up from Robert. Also, anything you want to say about this?
Yes, I loved it. So I was actually thinking that probably I didn't have an actual prediction as to who was going to win, but after the baby faces won the one for the female WarGames match, I then started thinking, okay, maybe Solo's Bloodline is gonna win, because it's, you know, to have the baby faces win both of the matches would be a little bit odd. So that's when I started thinking that Solo's team would win, but Romans ended up winning, which you know, I'm happy with. I love the original Bloodline more, obviously. Though Jacob Fatu on Solo's team, he's a breakout star to me, and so is what's his name? The one that joined last minute.
Tonga Loa.
Bronson Reed.
Yeah, no, not Bronson Reed. Yeah, not Tongaloa, dude.
Tongaloa.
I can't believe he's
Tongaloa is not a breakout star.
No.
Let's put it that way.
I'm sorry.
Yeah, they did post match. They did linger there for a while, without like showing the ending credits, right? So like, I was thinking maybe something's gonna happen. It would have been really awesome if The Rock had shown up, or if something happened post match. Maybe that would have made this a fire, actually. But nothing else happened, so we'll see. All right, there's one thing I want to say as a side note to this, and I'm only bringing it up because I don't see it as in our list of angles. On the SmackDown before, there was that face-to-face meeting between CM Punk and Roman Reigns.
Yes.
So at the very end of that face-to-face, CM Punk did mention that Paul Heyman will owe him a favor after this, right?
Oh yes.
And they didn't specify what that favor is, so there's some intrigue there. That it's not. After this match was over, I was also thinking, okay, what's CM Punk gonna ask for in return? So that hasn't been revealed yet. So that's on a side note. I just wanted to bring that up.
Yes, good. Thank you for bringing that up, Robert. I didn't list that as one of the angles we're going to review today, but that was a good segment on SmackDown the night before the pay-per-view here, or the PLE, I guess. But yeah, the SmackDown, it was very rare that SmackDown wasn't considered one of the best shows of the week, but it was a pre-recorded show. I guess they did a double taping the week before.
Correct.
So they didn't do a show the night before on SmackDown. But yes, okay.
No.
So back to the War Games, the men's War Game. Yeah, I mean, the continual burial of Solo Sikoa continues. I'm sorry, I was a big fan of him early on. The early Bloodline, the early Solo Bloodline, and then when he lost that steel cage match clean to Cody with no interference, and then again here. I mean, he was a pretty good leader when he was ordering everyone around when they had the momentum for a while, and he was telling this guy to do this. So he looked pretty cool doing that, but again, always just takes the loss. And this time, 5-on-1, just beat down, humiliation. And I guess it's all right because we keep saying, all right, The Rock is really the one pulling the strings, and Solo's not the guy. You know what I mean? So if that's the case, okay. But I am sad. I will mention that I am sad to see Solo lose, and that's another reason, I guess, that I didn't really give this a higher rating than 2 thumbs up, which is a great rating for us. But it just could have been more for something of this magnitude. But, all right, moving along. I'm going to move off Survivor Series. So on this show today, I'm going to jump back and forth and come back to reviewing matches of Survivor Series and intermixed with other things from throughout the week. So the next angle I want to do is from Monday Night Raw. And this is from November 25th, so a few days ago now. We're recording on a Sunday, and this was on Monday, so this was about 6 days ago. And when you guys hear this in the morning, I guess it'll be a whole week. But hopefully you guys will watch this before the new Raw, because there's going to be supposedly something going down with Kofi Kingston and Xavier Woods, the New Day. And they're going to have a celebration, and I think everyone's expecting them to break up or have something happen. But there was a very intense scene on this night on Raw, if I could summarize some of it for you or give you a highlight here. They were doing a match, okay? So, hey, by the way, Robert, do you know what they're wearing? Like, isn't that I thought it was supposed to be like a Dragon Ball Z character. I don't know if you...
I think, yeah, it is. It looks like yeah, Xavier Woods is wearing Goku Black, and why am I forgetting his name now? Kofi is wearing the regular Goku colors. Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, so it is Dragon Ball.
I thought you might recognize that. I never watched Dragon Ball Z, but if you recognize it, cool. So they're facing off against Alpha Academy here, and basically they had a bad start. This was a really quick match. Xavier tagged himself in, and then that led to like a little moment where they were arguing about who gets to start, and then they got attacked by Otis, and then Tozawa put the final pinfall on Xavier Woods. So they lost in like fucking 1 minute to Alpha Academy, which was incredible. That's probably the greatest moment in Alpha Academy history. But all right,
Yeah.
so this led to a vicious argument between these two, and one of them tracking shots, Robert, that you said you liked because they followed them all the way from the ring to through the entrance ramp and all the way to the back. And then I'm gonna play from the middle, starting when their argument got really intense in the crowd. I want you to pay attention to the crowd. I'm gonna go watch along mode here. I'm gonna put it real tiny in the corner. Zoom in if you want to watch along, but we're gonna listen to their argument and listen to the crowd go ooh and ah after every time they say something horrible to each other.
There's a reason that E and I never let you call the shots, man. Because you're too reckless out there, man. You take too many unnecessary risks. Unnecessary risks out there.
Shut up and let me talk for a second. Unnecessary risk. I remember when you were too terrified to take any kind of risk, and that's exactly why you couldn't get a shot at the heavyweight championship until I came along. And I took those risks for you, Kofi. I'm the reason you became champion.
You're the reason that I became champion now, man. I was a Hall of Famer when you met me. That's why you asked me to be a part of this group, not the other way around. Don't you ever forget that.
Ooh, that's a tough
And you of all people
I don't think they're gonna come back
about
from this.
championships and titles, because last time I checked, you still haven't won a singles championship by yourself. Now have you?
Just gonna throw that at him.
Whoa.
Dude,
You know
that's
you
burned right
never
there.
been a world champion like me and like E. It's because you have not been good enough. And that is not my fault.
I love how the crowd's reacting to this.
Good enough.
Yeah.
I was good enough to fight for you, wasn't I? I was good enough to take your beatings for you, wasn't I? I was good enough to believe in you, wasn't I? Just like they believed in you. And what did we do with that belief? We turned it into Kofi Mania and we handed it to you. And what did you do with that, Kofi? You pissed it away on a silver platter in 6 seconds to Brock Lesnar.
Yeah, they both got shit on each other. They've been all holding this in for fucking years.
If you were anybody
If I
else,
was what, Kofi? If I was somebody else, you'd finally get mad?
All right. I think that's where we'll stop it. Kofi Kingston says, "I'll see you next week
At their anniversary.
at the 10-year anniversary, where Big E's gonna be there." All right, so that was the segment. Reviews. This was the only segment of the week I gave a fire rating to. So I was watching this like enjoying myself. So I was literally fucking happy to see some good wrestling. So that's why I gave it a very high rating on our system. Plus 5 points on my Raw review post. Go to our, there's a link in the description to our Raw review post, but also you can check out our community post tab where we have thumbs up, thumbs down reviews for every show. And on Raw, I gave this segment 5 points. So Vlad and Robert gave it 2 thumbs up, so Robert loved it. Very good rating from Robert. And then Vlad gave it a thumbs up, which is really good for Vlad because he doesn't give New Day segments any type of fucking love ever. So
I'm gonna explain why I only gave it a thumbs up. But yes, I will. Definitely.
all right, well, I'll start with Robert this time. Let me put 90 seconds on the clock so we don't go on forever about this one. But 90 seconds, Robert, if you want to use all of it or some of it or whatever you want.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
Yes. So my review, my 2 thumbs up has absolutely nothing to do with the match. That's could just throw that away. It was obviously the stuff that happened afterwards, the tracking shot that led to the backstage argument. And yes, I do like tracking shots, but only when they're used sparingly. When they do it all the time, then it doesn't really stand out anymore. But this one I did appreciate because of what it led up to. They followed them all the way to the back, where this very heated exchange happened, and yeah, they brought up a lot of stuff that happened in the past that I actually I kind of forgot until they brought it up again during this argument. I was like, oh yeah, that happened. The Kofi Mania, the losing to Brock Lesnar, like that. They bring up a lot of good points. I do think I do think Kofi did burn him for sure with that line where he said, "You never won a championship outside of the tag team." That was a good burn right there. But Xavier Woods had some good lines there too. There was a really good exchange, very intense. And I wasn't prepared for this when it happened. I was like, "Whoa!"
Yes,
I did not see that coming.
I was pleasantly surprised too. Although something had to happen because it's getting close to the anniversary.
Now I can't hear you guys. Okay, hold on. I'll be back. I'll be back.
All right. It's all right. Well, Vlad, you can go ahead and talk while Robert is reconnecting his internet if you want to.
Yeah.
So I gave this a thumbs up on our Malapert Smart system of ratings, so it means you liked it actually. But I guess the question would be why you didn't love it.
Yeah, well, okay, let's talk about why I didn't love it, because obviously this was a great wrestling segment, right? I mean, I think we all agree on that. For the most part, we agree that this was a great wrestling segment. Why I didn't love it, why I didn't give it 2 thumbs up, why I didn't give it a fire, is the build-up to this has been taking too long. This group is not that good. They're not the Rockers or like some legendary tag team. I'm sorry, they're not on that level. But this should be taking this long. Just break them up and let's move on with it. This has been going on way too long at this point, week after week. I think once you lose to the Alpha Academy, I think that's you can't go any worse than that, right? Like that's like as bad as it gets. So I think it's definitely time. The burns here were very good, and this was finally a good segment. But historically, think of the New Day. To me, I just thought of it as like a goofy comedy duo gimmick type of deal that they had with those 3 guys, right? So it's not my cup of tea as far as that goes. Nothing against the wrestling ability of all 3 guys. I think they're all probably really good. Specifically Kofi, who I think is a pretty good worker. But it's definitely time, man, because this was hot 7 years ago under Vince. It's time to put this away and let's do something serious with these guys. It's been a joke tag team for a while now. So, I mean, I think that's the reason I just didn't love it, because of who's involved. Like if somebody more high level was involved or somebody that I cared more about, I'd put this as like a fire segment. But since this is Kofi and New Day and all that stuff, I mean, who haven't been really used that well anyway.
I wouldn't consider them a joke tag team though, man. I mean, they are.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Anytime when you talk about when you come into the ring and you're blowing horns and
that's true. But they've held
bootios or.
But they've held tag team gold. They've had a stupid gimmick, but that's been a lot of people in WWF. Weren't there a lot of stupid tag team gimmicks back in the '80s? I mean, their work in the ring.
None of those teams. No, I don't care about those teams breaking up either. But legendary.
What about the Rockers? You just said they're not the Rockers. Who were the Rockers before Shawn Michaels went solo? Who the fuck cared about the Rockers? I don't know.
People cared about the Rockers as a tag team.
Well, that were watching cared about the New Day. The people who were watching.
Oh, bullshit! I don't think so. I don't think. You think people cared more about this than Marty Jannetty and Shawn Michaels breaking up in 1990? No way.
I didn't, but people seem to. I mean, they've had a big following, and yeah, there's a lot of New Day T-shirts and little kids who like New Day, and
not anymore. I think for a stretch.
Not anymore. Yeah, but for a stretch. But they are they're like a long reigning championship tag team, so they have like a pedigree in this show. So they deserve to have a breakup, I think. I wouldn't go so far as to call them a joke tag team.
Okay, yes, they deserve to have a breakup. But my point is it should have already happened. Because this has gone on for a while now. They've been teasing it for too long. And yes, was a good wrestling segment, but boy, oh boy, could we have gotten here faster? It wasn't deserving of all this TV time that they were getting. I'm sorry, just not the way they've been handled for years now. Not just within the last couple of months, but years. So no, I disagree with that. They should be given that amount of time.
I don't know. I like how it's been going. I don't think it's been really amazing, but I don't think it's been bad either. Like the fact that it's going slowly and the little progression of them kind of being at each other's throats a little bit here and there, I think it's worked well. So I don't know. To me, the segment really landed.
Are they breaking up this coming Monday?
That's a good question because it seems like so obvious that maybe they'll swerve us and not have them break up because they
like, could Big E bring them together? Big E will bring them together.
They're gonna believe once again in the power of positivity.
Both of your predictions is maybe they won't break up now. So then maybe this will keep going. Oh God.
Well, you want them to be single stars? Like, you're the one who's like, break them up, break them up. What do you want to do with Kofi and Xavier? You think they have like a place to be on the single side? I don't know. I think they kind of need them more in the tag team division because who do they got in the tag team division? JD and Finn Balor, Alpha Academy, and American Made.
They need them so much that they've been losing every single match. Like, obviously, they don't need them that much. They're just going to be jobbing to all these tag teams. They just jobbed to Alpha Academy. How much could they need them?
No, they don't need them. Story.
Okay, fine. That's part of the story. Great. No, I don't think they need them as a tag team. And yes, I think it'd be better for these guys to go single, 100%.
All right. Well, let me move on then, unless Robert has anything he wants to retort to what we said. We got more to talk about. All right, let's pick up the pace. I'm going to move on to... Hold on, let me pull up my next clip. What do I got next? Let's jump back to Survivor Series. So last night, all right? So let's do... which one are we on? LA Knight.
Mm-hmm.
And...
Shinsuke and Nakamura.
I think... Hold on one second. No, this is out of order.
Oh,
sorry. Give me...
You had something else first, didn't you? I think you had the woman's thing next, right?
Yeah, but it didn't show up in my thing. All right, give me 1 minute. Sorry. Vlad, entertain the audience, please, while I'm looking for this clip. Please.
Are you not entertained?
Be like Hollywood.
Are you not entertained?
Okay, well,
Is this not why you are here?
Well, I did watch Gladiator 2, and Kaylin was right. It was not worth watching the theaters.
Oh, my God. What? How could that be a miss?
So you should just... you should just do this.
Exactly. It was Robert, you saw it, you said, right?
Huh? Yeah, I saw it, yeah.
I thought like Denzel's performance was good. Like he was the best part of the whole movie, but doubt about it. Everything else was like definitely did not live up to the I mean, I didn't expect it to be as good as the original, but I was hoping that it would kind of like have some of the same intensity as the original. I mean, I knew it wouldn't be as good, but geez, I think it took a huge step back in this movie. I don't think it was necessary to make. It's one of those like it seems like another cash grab by.
Oh, for sure, yeah.
Like just putting Gladiator in the title, but it wasn't bad. Like I was as a movie, it was like I enjoyed it, but like comparing it to its like predecessor, no, it was nowhere near that level.
No, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
That was Vlad's review of
Gladiator
2. Interesting. Right.
I would give it half a thumb up.
Okay, all right, that's good. No, our rating system is very versatile. Give it an Orange Cassidy half thumb. We could rate anything in our rating system.
I can't give it a thumbs down because then somebody has to die. And like,
we don't want anyone to die.
Yeah. All right.
All right. Well, I did. That gives me a chance to introduce you guys. I guess I didn't do that yet. So Vlad, that was him listening. We were listening to his review of Gladiator, and Robert, the Frozen Asian. Both of them were at my apartment last night to watch Survivor Series.
Sure were.
So we're lucky we're alive today, because man. Anyways, it was a wild party. That's all I'm saying. It was a wild party, but the party got off to a rocky start because we were all ready to go. We were having drinks and shit, and then the fucking women's WarGames came on. The women's WarGame match, excuse me, and well, it was like a game to them. It seemed like it was. But anyways, this morning I woke up and went through some reviews online of some wrestling podcasters, and yes, a lot of people were criticizing this match. So I'm not going to give a review, a full summary in my review here today, but I'll refer you guys again to the links in the description if you haven't seen it. If you've seen it, cool. Let's review the match. So here's some slides. I'm not going to go through it in detail, but some summary. The Babyfaces came out first, then the heels, and then Nia Jax was the first to enter. So Nia Jax did the whole match, however long it was. I don't know. It must have been like 40 minutes or something like that. So Nia Jax was in there for the whole freaking time. And I think we were talking a lot about weak-looking chair shots. So I think I could play some of these because it's just going to be like 2 seconds. So I'm hoping I won't get clipped for copyright. But let me just place an example of some of these bad chair shots. Here's Nia hitting Naomi, it looks like.
Jax is using now on Bayley and Naomi.
Oh, damn! She fucked her up with that one.
Yeah, I know, man. Shit.
Yeah.
Why did she stop? Like, I think she looked like she's gonna hit her, and then she's like, she doesn't want to hit her. Like, why would you hesitate? You're using a steel chair. You're trying to wipe someone's head off. You might as well.
I think that was the whole point. She was gonna give her a headshot, but then she's like, "Wait, we can't do that anymore in WWE." So she was trying to hit her in the back, but it looked all kinds of fucked up. That looked
and then
really bad.
Here's on to Bayley.
Her best to protect herself, and Jax just swinging wildly.
Swinging wildly. Here's another one.
That's one way of looking at it.
Corey Graves. I don't know. Here's Candice and Nia missing with the shot. Here's Io, I think, throwing the chair down at Candice.
Situation
So
I mean, that one's still okay. I mean, not the worst one.
I don't know. Anyways, I'm skipping. I'm going to skip to the end of the match. All right. So it wasn't a well-worked match, this one. It was the opposite of the men's one. It was like very sloppy and weird, and they didn't lay it in. And that's odd because I think usually the women want to show that they're just as good as the men, and they have stepped up their game in WWE in recent years, but this was like a bad example. But anyways, so last person in was Liv Morgan, and she obviously has been having that long-standing feud with Rhea Ripley, so she didn't want to come in. She ran away at first. I thought she wasn't going to come, but she came back with a baseball bat. So interesting. She's got a weapon. Here she is facing off with Rhea Ripley, and Rhea takes off that cool-looking mask she was wearing. So she's got like a scar, it looks like, and kind of dyed her eyes black. So give her an interesting look about that eye injury. She has a broken orbital bone, so back pretty soon. And she wrestled without the mask. So I don't know. They must have been really careful or something. But all right, so they did. They all ganged up on Rhea. The heels held her down, and they let Liv tee off on her with the baseball bat. And Io, here's the spot where Io went to the top rope. So they did stereo top rope dives with Io and Tiffany. So this was what Vlad was saying. The reason they need to have that cage open is to do these top rope dives every year. So, all right. So I think Tiffany doing that dive onto a bunch of people at the bottom led to the spot where she pulled out her Money in the Bank briefcase and had a moment where she could cash in on either person, but again took forever and it didn't happen. So this is tease that they've been overdoing, basically. And I think Io Sky came in with a fire extinguisher to stop that. So that was the end of the Money in the Bank. And then the finish of the match was a Rhea Ripley riptide on Liv Morgan through the table. So good spot. So they tried to save the match at the end, but Babyfaces win, but it was a struggle. All right, so I'll start with Vlad this time. I'll go back to Vlad. So 96. Oh, what was our reviews? Okay. Before I move to Vlad, on our rating system, Vlad and Robert gave this a thumbs down. They didn't like it. And I was the only one out of the three to give this 2 thumbs down. So -2 points on my Survivor Series review for the sloppy work, basically. You know, and another boring, just, predictable ending with the Babyfaces winning. But all right, Vlad, that's all you. 90 seconds.
Well, I think to be fair, I don't want to be one that only criticizes AEW. I should definitely, if there's stuff to criticize on WWE, then I should do it. And this is one of the things that needs criticism.
Please be fair to AEW, Vlad. You rip on them too much.
I rip on AEW deservingly, but when WWE also needs to be criticized, they also, should be called out for it. And this match was a disaster, bro. The only reason I didn't give it 2 thumbs down is I think it got a little better at the tail end, and it finished semi-strong, with Rhea and all that stuff, and some of the spots, like you showed with Io and Tiffany. I mean, again, I'm not in love with those spots, but at least they were done reasonably well. So the beginning of the match, though, man, I don't even know how to describe it. it's something that you expect to see in like wrestling school, like just somebody that just is practicing these moves, but like it was a disaster. Now, to be fair to the other women, it seems like the majority of the disaster was from, what is her name now?
Nia Jax.
Nia Jax, yes, excuse me. Most of the problems stemmed from her, and obviously, you know, my thoughts on her in general are not very good as a worker, so not surprising there, but what's surprising is they let her go out first, I think, in retrospect, which means you had to be there, like you said, the whole match. Wouldn't it make more sense for her not to be there that long at all? She's the worst worker. Why would she be there the whole time? I don't know. I mean, it was really bad in the beginning and very cringy, and I'm sure a lot of this stuff is going to be in, like, Botchamania, and you know, and deservedly so. Like, you know, I know you said, like, I'll finish up in just a second. I know we're on a time crunch here and my time is up. But I know you said, like, the women are trying to show that they're just as good as the men. I think outside of Rhea and maybe Bianca and maybe Bayley, like, most of them are just not, dude. I'm sorry. A lot of the good women workers are currently not even there. Charlotte Flair, Becky Lynch now is maybe retired or maybe just taking a long break. Who knows? So that's the thing. Like, a lot of the good ones that you would consider the workers that we're not even involved in this. So, no, there's no way they can.
But all these girls, I think they're all usually their work is better than this. This was just a weird anomalous match, I think.
Well, I think because of the style of match, but you have to be prepared for that. If that's the match you're going to do, that maybe you don't have to use. Like, the men didn't really use that many weapons. So, like, why did they just rely heavily on chairs and garbage cans and things like that? Like, if you don't know how to work those objects or you're not sure what you're going to do, then don't do it. It's as simple as that. Like, the cage is itself a weapon, right? So use the cage. I don't know. I'll leave it at that. I don't want to take up too much more time.
Yeah, but I don't think it was just Nia. I saw everybody kind of doing weird stuff.
Yeah, I agree. Not just her, but she was the biggest culprit.
All right, Robert, you go ahead. Women's WarGames. You gave this a thumbs down. You don't usually give thumbs downs. You're very rare that you actually give thumbs downs. You're very, not a reviewer, but yeah.
That makes me think I should have said that this makes me sick.
Okay. I actually could have given this 2 thumbs down also, but I gave it just a 1 for the same exact reason that Vlad gave it just 1, is because it did get better towards the end. They tried. I don't know if they tried to salvage it, but it did get better. Too many botches at the beginning and middle. Also, something that I found really odd was towards, I want to say, the middle or maybe closer to the end of the match. Bayley and Io Sky had this stare down with each other during the match. And I don't know what triggered it. I know they have history, right? But I don't know if it's something that happened in the match that triggered them to, like, just stare at each other. But they had a stare down, and I'm like, what? Why here? You didn't have that pre-match in the backstage or, like, right before you guys came out, or why during the match? It made no sense. I was looking back, at the highlights. I didn't see if there was something specific in the match that triggered that, but I thought it was a weird spot. Not a good match, but it did get better towards the end. At least at the very end, it did get better. So that's why I only gave it 1 thumb down.
Yeah.
All right. Well, that's enough of that for the women's WarGames. At first, I thought it wasn't going to be a topic on our show. Like, I didn't think it was going to make the show, but it ended up making the show only because it was so bad. But, okay, if it was a normal match, we probably wouldn't have even talked about it. But okay, moving along. Let me see what else we got. I think this is the one. Yes. So now we got Shinsuke and LA Knight. All right. So I'm not going to talk about the match much. The match is in the description below, a link to it if you really need to see it. But the finishing move for Shinsuke, surprisingly, I guess that's like a running knee to the back of the head, it seems. And he won the match. So that got a big pop from us. We were like, whoa, that seemed to be like the only surprise of the night. Here's the crowd kind of a little stunned.
Yeah.
But I guess the story was supposed to be sort of that LA Knight got misted, I think, on SmackDown?
SmackDown, that's right.
Yeah, that's right.
So maybe he was like a little off his game or something. So because of that. Okay, so Shinsuke Nakamura, the United States champion out of nowhere. And I think some people were throwing around the idea that this could happen. And the idea, and, I don't know. I was kind of skeptical that they would pull the trigger on that. But I think Shinsuke's work yesterday looked fantastic. Like he was back, and his work, not like the women, like the opposite. He looked professional. He was selling. His moves looked good. And he looked like he was in good shape, and I think this was pretty good. And I don't mind him getting this title because I just think that they need to kind of shake it up a little bit and have some title changes in that division. It's not the worst thing for LA Knight if he kind of has to come back and get this title back. But anyway, so what were our ratings for this? I gave it a thumbs up. I was the only one. And then you and Robert, seems like, gave it an Orange Cassidy. Kind of liked it, half unenthusiastic, half thumbs up. So who went first last time? I'm sorry, I'm losing track.
I think I did, so I guess I think so.
Fine.
Yes, I think Robert did.
Robert, so a minute and 30. I don't have to if you have to use the whole thing, but let's hear your thoughts on Nakamura going over.
All right. Well, first off, I want to say I do like Nakamura's new presentation. He looks different now, and he doesn't. The way he moves too, like especially in his ring entrance, he's not doing all those weird moves he used to do. He, like an actual normal walk to the rings. I like that. I think that's better for him. That he's changing things up. I feel a bit conflicted. Okay, because prior to his return, he was basically jobbing to like all the big names. He was jobbing to Seth, and I think he lost to Seth Rollins a couple times, and I forgot who else he fought. I think Cody Rhodes. He lost a couple times to Cody Rhodes. I can't remember the last time I saw him have a victory prior to this past SmackDown when he fought on, I think, Andrade. If I'm not mistaken, he fought Andrade this past SmackDown.
Yes.
Prior to that match against Andrade, I can't remember the last time I saw him have a victory. So he definitely needed something. So maybe that's why they put the title on him. But again, I say I'm conflicted because I don't think it was probably the right move for LA Knight's title run to end now. I don't know. I'm not sure if that was the right move. If I was the booker, I probably wouldn't have booked it that way. I don't hate this though. I think it's fine. Like you said, sometimes it's good to shake things up. So that's why I still gave it a half thumbs up.
All right. Vlad, the wrestling expert, what did you think of this booking here?
Yeah, I mean, I think Robert's made some good points on Nakamura's presentation. He's not coming out as like a spastic anymore doing those gyrations. That's already a good sign. I think that's fair. I think the only way this really works, like Nakamura winning here, is if like LA Knight regains it at either the next PLE or at the main event. I don't know what they have planned, because I don't think Nakamura should be a long time U.S. champion. Like I think LA Knight should definitely get over in that feud down the line. That's the guy that they're really pushing, right? That's the guy that they're trying to make into a megastar or a superstar on the level of like whoever, right? All their main guys, right? But I agree with Kayon as well, as just like shaking up sometimes is and having surprise winners isn't the worst thing. It definitely should happen from time to time. I just don't know if Nakamura would be my first, second, or third choice as the guy that would do it. But there's something to be said about his new look and the match. You're right; it wasn't bad. Like it was probably one of his better matches that I've seen in a while. I mean, his previous matches have all been, usually like some sort of like no DQ, last man standing type matches prior to him coming back and all that stuff that he had with like Seth and Cody and all that stuff. So, I mean, he does look a little bit better, and the work was pretty solid. But the only way this works is if LA Knight regains, and I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and that'll probably happen. So, all right, if that happens, Vlad is okay with this. All right.
Yes, I'm okay with this.
Along. Fifth topic of the day. This is not an angle review. We mostly do angle reviews, but I'm trying to throw in some discussion topics too. And general wrestling discussion topics. But okay, let's do Ricky Starks, Vlad. So I mentioned this last night while we were talking. So Ricky Starks did an interview on Chris Van Vliet's podcast, where he basically said that he doesn't know why he's not being used by Tony Khan. That he's available, he's healthy, he's under contract, but Tony Khan's just not using. He's just sitting at home making money, which he's upset about because he'd rather work. He loves wrestling, it seems, and he wants to become a star. And he was on the fast track to becoming a star, but suddenly he just got cut off and not used. So, all right, Vlad, do you have any thoughts on this interview and, just thoughts on now learning about this, that he's just straight up, Tony Khan is just not using him. He's not letting him go. He doesn't want to let him go to WWE because he wants to go, obviously, but he's just making him sit on the shelf. Let's hear some thoughts about this. I'm going to put 90 seconds on the clock.
Well, I mean, it's not the first wrestler we've heard that's happened with. I mean, there's been other guys, Miro, Malachi Black. I mean, I've heard other guys that, wanted their release but are not getting it because they want to go to the WWE because they're not used well here, but then it's not given that.
Do you think Tony Khan's a bad guy for not letting him go?
Well, no, he's not a bad guy for not letting him go. He's a bad guy for killing his push and not doing anything with him. That's what he's a bad guy for. He's a bad booker. At the very least, he's a bad booker.
Well, it would be worse if he put him out there and buried him. Like, hey, we know you're leaving, so we're just going to make you do embarrassing things like Vince would have made someone do.
Well, why would you? Okay, well, why then book this guy as he should be booked, because he is a guy that can talk. He's very good on the mic. He's a pretty good worker from everything.
Why would he book him? Why would he book him to be strong and look strong if he's just going to leave for WWE? Why would?
Well, maybe he wouldn't leave if in that case.
No, he's going to leave. He's coaching.
Well, he's going to leave now. Well, he's going to leave now, but he didn't have to leave before. Obviously, he wants to leave now.
I think he was always going to leave, man. Once Cody left, and Cody's like, the door's open here for you.
So what's the answer? What's the answer? Just not paying this guy and having him sit. You told me that he has a contract for another year and a half.
Why doesn't he just let him go?
Okay, fine, let him go in that case. But I agree with that. But he's not going to let him. He's not letting him go. And you're asking what my opinion. I don't. I mean, he doesn't want him to go to WWE, I guess.
Does he think AEW is actually competition to WWE? He's like, I don't want to give them a strong character because, they're not competition to WWE.
No, I agree.
Like, he's just holding this guy hostage, out of.
It's weird. It's weird. It's weird to do that. And also, I mean, I know he has a lot of crazy money, right? So it's all monopoly money to him at this point. But still, you would think that he would want to either use this guy or just not use him. Just move on with it. If guys don't want to be there, find out. Isn't that kind of the way it works in the NBA now? Like, if you don't want to be on the team, you ask for a trade, and they find a way to get rid of you. I don't know. That's kind of, and they send you to a new place. That's kind of the way things should work here, I guess. But I don't know. It's kind of weird with Tony Khan right now. He's just not releasing people. Which I understand. Okay, sorry. Go ahead.
No, sorry. I was just gonna say some people did get their release. Like, for some reason, we don't know why, but like Cody was like, okay, I want to leave. Fine, go.
No, I think Cody's contract was up. To be fair.
Okay, and then William Regal is another one. He just like
William Regal just said leave, and he said yes, but that's something to do with his son or something like that. But I don't know the full story of here with Ricky Starks. I can see that he's unsatisfied, but again, I also don't. I think me and you were talking about this via text message. How sorry can we feel for a guy that's just getting paid a shitload of money to sit at home and not do anything? I can't feel that bad for him either. But yes, of course, I'd like to see him on TV wrestling because that's what he's kind of good at, right? That's a profession. But that's it. I'll leave it at that.
All right. Before I let Robert talk, I'll just make a quick point that I think that in general, Tony Khan shouldn't be like trying to sabotage WWE success. Like, in general, I think if there's good wrestling anywhere, it's good for the wrestling industry. Like, if WWE is doing good and people are just like watching good wrestling and enjoying themselves, they're gonna want to watch AEW too. You know what I mean? So I think
I disagree with that.
I don't know. I don't think there's a competition between the two. Between WWE, the AEW viewers are going to be the AEW viewers. And it really doesn't have much to do with what WWE is doing. If he lets Ricky Starks go to WWE, it doesn't change AEW's show like at all. But anyways, Robert, whatever we've been talking about, jump in there. Let's see what you
Okay.
have to say.
Well, actually, I have a question for you because you keep mentioning that he's leaving for WWE. That's confirmed, or
Yes, I'm confirming that.
you're confirming that?
No, there's no real confirmation. but
Okay,
it's like
because you say
common
that
sense info.
as if there's confirmation. I'm like,
Oh,
what?
for sure. It's like the most
Okay.
obvious thing. He was
All right,
hanging out with
I mean,
Cody
no, we can.
backstage.
Of course, we can assume that's the most likely scenario, but like you said that that's already been confirmed.
He took a picture of him with Cody backstage.
Yeah,
on the
okay,
WWE show.
that was
What
something
the
I was
heck?
that was something I was gonna bring up. But first of all, before I get to that, it sucks that he's not being used because he has, at least to me, he has a lot of star potential. He's, he has that it factor that a lot of other, talent in AEW don't have. But he just has it. Like he has the self confidence. It's very obvious when you see him on the mic, right? And he's very good in the ring as well. So it's a waste that he's just not being used. So it sucks that he's not being used. I don't really know why. So all we could do is speculate. But yeah, I don't know. I know he's very, very close friends with Cody Rhodes, and I believe he attended WrestleMania or one of those PLEs.
He attended WrestleMania when he won the WrestleMania 40. Yeah.
I don't know if that plays a factor into Tony Khan's decision as to whether to use him or not. I don't know. If so, that's petty. But again, all we could do is speculate. We don't really know why Tony's doing this or not. I don't know. But it's all I can say for sure is that it sucks that he's not being used because he has the it factor. He has a lot of star potential.
Oh yeah, man. He was on track to being a star in AEW. He was in a lot of big feuds with a lot of big names, and I think when CM Punk, they designed Collision around CM Punk, but then Punk left, and I think they tried to replace him with Ricky Starks. Like for a few weeks, he was kind of the top guy on Collision, and he was kind of hanging. He was hanging. He was bringing in some viewers. It wasn't as bad as it is now, and then suddenly it just got cut off. So yeah, it's kind of sad. You're right, but whatever. Just sit home and stay in shape and go to NXT next year. It's all good. All right. So that was our introduction to AEW talk for the week. So we're going to jump into a couple AEW segments. I have to because the show is built around WWE and AEW. So only a couple as we're mostly doing Survivor Series today, but I'll just throw in a couple of segments from Dynamite just to even it out a little bit. But not much on Dynamite, but I will mention a couple scenes. So this one I want to mention is with Jay White and Hangman Page and the Death Riders. So the angle they had. So I guess we're kind of curious as to who Moxley's next opponent is going to be for the World Heavyweight title and all that. And then this is where we got some clues. So if you didn't watch our last show, the Full Gear review, Hangman Page came out to attack Jon Moxley and set up Christian to cash in his title shot, although Christian failed. But everyone's wanting to know why Hangman did that. So he came out to explain this. He took the microphone from Schiavone and sent him to the corner. So Tony Schiavone didn't. He was there to interview him, but Hangman just took the mic, which I know some wrestling old heads don't like when people do that. You just bury the announcer. But okay, regardless. So Hangman Page had an explanation that was very interesting. He said somehow once Christian won, he was supposed to get a title shot, I think that in a roundabout way or something. So that was the deal he made with Christian. And then Jay White comes out and he, argues with Hangman. He's like, hey, I just beat you twice. If anyone's getting a title shot, it's me. So that's a weird thing that I've criticized about AEW, that I think they have too many clean finishes. And the fact that Hangman just lost clean twice to Jay White and now is going out there talking about how his goal is to win the World Heavyweight title. Like, what the fuck? That doesn't make sense. But okay, so Jay White comes up and he's going to confront Hangman again, and this is when the Death Riders come out. So not too much detail on this, but I will say that Marina was here. She bashed Hangman Page with her briefcase, and then the good moment when Jay White came up to her from behind and he was going to give her the Blade Runner. And the crowd popped for that because she kind of deserves it, man. She's going around hitting all these guys. She's got to take it. If it was TNA, in TNA they do man on woman violence. They don't care. Like if you need to get kicked in the stomach, they'll do it in TNA. They'll kick a woman in the stomach. But anyways, this was just a tease. So Jon Moxley came from behind to take Jay White in the sleeper hold, and then Marina puts Jay White in like a little sleeper hold of her own with front face lock. It looks like it looks a little. I didn't think that looked. It was an interesting idea to have Marina, beating up Jay White, but it didn't really look good. Like this, he looks like she's hugging him. It doesn't look like she's choking the shit out of him. But anyways, still a nice picture. I like that. I would frame that, put that up in my room. And there's Jay White completely. Yeah, Vlad in his comment on our YouTube post for Dynamite, our review post, he said, "God damn, Marina beat the shit out of Jay White." There he is. Anyways, so some reviews on this. What did we give it? Me and Robert gave this a thumbs up, so we kind of liked it. Or we liked it. I liked it. I don't know. I like the whole thing with Marina. And Hangman Page, I like that, he's trying to go for the title, even though he's lost clean and been buried lately. But okay, I still like his personality, his persona. And then Vlad, you gave this an indifferent, so you gave this a 0. You didn't give it any thumbs up. Also, no thumbs down, so that's a positive, I guess. But okay, I'll move the clock to 1 minute for this. So for the remaining topics, we got 1 minute on the clock. And let's start with Robert on this one. So Robert, you like this? Any comments you want to give about AEW Dynamite Death Riders angle for the week?
Oh, man. All right, so when Hangman Adam Page came out first talking about how he wants the title shot, I was thinking the same thing. That's ridiculous that he would ask for that after losing to Jay White a couple times, right? So, well, why do you get to even ask for that? I thought that was pretty ridiculous. So I'm glad Jay White came out, to bring up that point. Like, nah, man, you don't deserve it. I thought that was pretty cool. And I think this segment was probably just okay. I feel like maybe because how a couple weeks ago we were talking about grading on a curve. I'm thinking I did that for this segment because the majority of the show was basically just a tournament, right? Not much really happened except the tournament. So this is one of the few actual angles that happened. So yeah, it wasn't bad, but it did help that pretty much the rest of the show was not much else happened pretty much. So that's it.
All right, Vlad, Mr. AEW hater. We got to mention to the audio podcast people that his background says AEW sucks, and he has been known for his criticism of AEW's logic and booking and everything. So, all right, Vlad, the wrestling expert. So you're not excited at all for Hangman and Jay White, maybe strange bedfellows, common enemies, bringing them together? Not doing anything for you there?
That's a good one, yeah. No, I mean, I had one thought as I was watching this thing is who the hell are they pushing? Who's supposed to get over in this thing? Because the babyface, or you can even call them babyfaces. I guess Adam Page and oh God, what the hell is his name?
Jay White. Jay White is the babyface. He's the man to push because he's been winning.
So he's the one that's pushed, but the only one that looked good during this whole thing is okay, and it's getting ridiculous at this point, is Maria Shafir. It's getting to a point where I think they're going to put the title on her soon because she's the only one that deserves the title at this point, the way she just beating the shit out of every guy there. Now, I know they have her in this, I guess I could compare it to the China role in DX, but man, even China didn't beat the shit out of guys like this. I don't remember her doing this. I know she got some low blows on people during the Attitude Era, but man, Maria Shafir is just beating the crap out of everybody, every guy, and not even mention every woman. It's getting to the point where it's absurd. She's the only one that's getting over in this thing. So, No, I'm not looking forward to this. I don't think any of this is any good, and I don't think any of it makes any sense, and it's not interesting in the slightest. I didn't give it a thumbs down because I didn't think it embarrassed any. Well, maybe Jay White should be a little embarrassed, but other than that, it wasn't embarrassing, to the business. But it wasn't exciting either, and the only person that, like I said, that got over is Maria Shapiro.
All right. So I got one more Dynamite angle. Let's just roll through one more Dynamite angle, and then I'll go back to Survivor Series and finish off the show. So this one, another scene that I actually liked was Swerve Strickland and Max Castor from The Acclaimed as of right now. So I'm going to do a little watch along for this scene because Swerve is getting interviewed by Renee about the Lashley match and the loss he took and how difficult it was. And then Max Castor walks through his scene, his segment, his interview, photobombs him, and makes like a comment as he walks by, like a disrespectful comment. And Swerve is like, "What the hell? Come back here, dude!" And then I'm gonna play this from here for you guys. So I'm gonna put in watch along mode. You guys gotta zoom in if you want to watch this if you haven't seen it. But we're gonna listen to this argument Swerve has with Max Castor. Hold on. Sorry about that. Let me put the volume up. All right, here it is.
Brutal.
Hey, yo, my man. What's funny?
What's funny is you, Swerve. You lost at the Prudential Center last week. Remind me, isn't that the same building where I beat you for the tag team titles? Hey, let's do some.
You guys remember that when Swerve was tag team champion with who?
Oh yeah, with what's his name?
Swerve in Our Glory.
Yeah. I forgot his name, but yeah, I know
Keith Lee.
Oh my God, Almighty!
You guys don't remember that whole thing? All right, so
I think I blocked it out from my mind permanently.
Castor had to remind the people that he beat Swerve in that tag because I didn't remember that. I had to look that up. I was like, what the fuck? Okay, so let me go back to Max Castor
for the tag team titles. Hey, let's do some comedy here. Let's write some bars here in Chicago because everyone loves the best wrestler alive.
Oh yeah, the best.
Swerve, you used to be like a house of fire. Like a house fire, that's a bar.
Why did Max Castor come in there just like a complete asshole for no fucking reason?
A house of fire.
All right, for those of you who don't know, obviously Swerve Strickland has had his house burned down by Hangman Page, so that set him off. That became a violent scene. Speaking of Hangman Page, coming up next, I still can't get over how Hangman and Swerve are on the same show, but they just ignore each other. Like after that whole match they had, the lights out cage match or whatever, like, I don't know. It would be nice if there was a brand split so they could keep them apart because that's just kind of a thing that's hanging over them to me. They got to keep them apart. But all right. Our reviews for this segment with Max Castor and Swerve Strickland. Let's see what you guys gave this. Max Castor's disrespect brings out the mean streak in Swerve Strickland. Again, a full thumbs up for me, so I liked it. And Vlad and Robert with the half thumbs up. So only an Orange Cassidy unenthusiastic like from you guys. All right, let's start with Vlad. So you want to give any comments about this segment? If you don't, you can just skip it, but it's up to you.
I mean, I'll really try to be quick on this one. It was what it was. I mean, it's not. I don't know why Max Castor's gimmick is that he's the best wrestler alive. I don't know much. I don't know really what to expect from this. Why so he fought Lashley. Now he has a feud with Max Castor. That's like a really big time step down. Yeah, I don't know what to. I guess I'll give it a chance. Is why I probably gave it a half thumbs up and see what happens.
It was a good little scene, man. I think Max Castor as a little Weasley heel was kind of good.
Yeah,
the fighting looked good.
Yeah, it was okay. I guess I'll just wait to see what happens before I give any future grades on this. But I mean, we'll just wait and see. I'll leave it at
Well,
that.
yes, Vlad. We will need to see the scenes first before we get your grades. Thank you.
No, what I mean is before I can really say like this deserves a thumbs up or this is going to be super good, I have to actually see it to believe it type of deal because I don't really believe AEW is capable of anything good.
All right. Well, we're just reviewing this scene, the one we got right now. So, all right,
Exactly,
Robert, half thumbs up. Do you like Max Caster's new thing or what? It's not really his new thing, but he is kind of being more heelish lately. Definitely.
Yeah. So, okay. So here's the thing, because Vlad mentioned that it's a step down for Swerve, and you're probably right about that. But I viewed this as a step up for Max Caster. This is probably AEW trying to build up their best wrestler. I don't know. I think this is an intriguing feud. We'll see where this goes. But I did just for this segment alone. I thought it was entertaining enough for a half thumbs up.
All right. Well, let's move along. We got a few more angles to get to. I know it's getting late, but I'll run through them real quick. So I'm jumping back now to Survivor Series. So that'll be enough AEW for the day. At least we got them involved in the show. But we'll have to wait till next week to see if AEW give us anything interesting. A lot of Continental Classic stuff on these shows. And I haven't watched Collision or Rampage yet. For those of you out there who are waiting on pins and needles for my Collision and Rampage rating reviews, those will come out on Tuesday. So stay tuned for that. Subscribe, and you'll get them Rampage and Collision reviews that I know all of you guys are dying for. But
I'm dying for it.
To Survivor Series.
Yeah, I literally died because I watched some of it at your house.
I know. I hardly remember that. But let me move on to Damian Priest versus Gunther for the World Heavyweight Championship. So the storyline here was that Gunther was low on confidence from his loss with Cody Rhodes, so he struggled in the feud leading up to this. It's a rematch. They've had this feud before. Damian has been called many bad things by Gunther, but this time Gunther was more humble, and he just showed up to the match to fight. But I'm skipping all the way to the end. I'm referring to you guys. I'll refer you guys to the links in the description if you haven't seen it again. But I'm just going to show the ending where Finn Balor interferes. So Damian Priest's old Judgment Day stablemate came out while the referee was not looking and gave Damian a stomp, and that led to, well, Gunther didn't really like that Finn Balor got involved, so he kicked Finn Balor in the face too, which I think is interesting because that could be something between Finn and Gunther someday maybe, because you know Finn Balor never forgets anything. That's a vindictive guy right there. But anyways, that led to another interference spot from Finn Balor led to Gunther's victory and a choke out, and Damian didn't tap out, he passed out. So same exact ending they did in their last fight that Finn Balor cost Damian Priest. So Gunther keeps the title, and let's see some ratings from you guys and from myself. So Gunther versus Damian. Let's see what this got from us. Vlad, a thumbs up. Okay, Vlad liked it. Robert, a half thumbs up. So he kind of liked it. Step down. And I gave it a thumbs down. So I got my problems with the booking. But, okay, let's jump to Robert. I'll give Robert a minute on the clock. What did you think of this? You kind of liked it, but let's hear some clarification on your rating.
All right. I probably won't need a minute. I'll keep it brief. So my half thumbs up is pretty much basically for Gunther keeping the title, which I was hoping would happen. What I was also hoping for, well, maybe not hoping, but what I didn't expect was interference from Finn Balor. I would have liked a cleaner win for Gunther, because the angle leading up to this where Gunther was made to look really weak, I didn't like it at all. So I would have preferred him, getting a cleaner victory. It'll help with his quote unquote confidence to get it back if it was a cleaner victory. So that's why I didn't like it more than I wanted to. But at least he did keep the title, so Damian didn't take it off him. I still like Gunther. It's just the angle leading up to this was not great, but I'm hopefully that changes after this. We'll see.
Man, I don't even have to give a review because that's basically the same reason I didn't like it, was because
Okay.
I think Gunther needed a clean win, and I don't like rehashing Finn and Damian. They have already had their match, and Damian beat him, so I don't really understand. But anyways, Vlad, you're echoing the same thoughts, or you got any extra thoughts?
I mean, I think you both made good points, but I did enjoy the match. I thought the reason I gave it a thumbs up is that the match was pretty good.
Yes.
You guys made great points across the board as far as Robert talking about the lead up to this thing was a disaster, and I agreed. Like, what? Gunther's like lost his confidence. He's afraid of this. He's afraid of that. Like, it made no damn sense. This guy's a freaking beast. He's a monster. Why the hell would he have low confidence? Because Cody Rhodes rolled him up. That made no sense. And again, yes, it was basically the same finish from SummerSlam, right? Finn interfered. He helped Gunther win. And things like that. So they're rehashing that. But I don't think that's the worst thing ever. Like, I don't think it's like Damian could continue a feud with Finn, and eventually maybe Finn could get in on fighting Gunther after Gunther laid him out. So it could become like some sort of triple threat potentially. But the match I thought was really good. Both guys did a great job in the match. The work was really solid. I mean, again, it's a Gunther match. Never seen a bad one. So, I mean, it was what it was. There were some issues, as you guys mentioned, but the match quality itself, and I didn't really have a problem with the booking. You know, as long as Gunther won, that was the most important thing for me. Whether he won clean or not, I didn't really care.
But I wonder if he's going to still not have his confidence. Because that's what me and Robert were thinking, like,
no,
there's a strong win to get his confidence. So he's still going to be this mopey guy because he didn't get a clean win. You know what I mean? So they're going to continue that? I don't know. I mean, was it enough of a win to help him get back to the old Gunther? That's what I'm thinking. But
well, I hope they don't continue. Yes, I agree with that. If they continue with him having low confidence, I would be disappointed. So we'll see. But that's the only thing we can do. But I would hate that with, strongly.
Okay. All right. Well, let's last thing from Survivor Series. So we've done every match. So they only had 5 matches. This one I was on the fence about putting on the show. But I do want to mention it, at least just because I think it was a freaking greatly worked match. Like, it was probably the best worked match of the night. But nothing really fantastical or, super surprising or anything happened in the match. I'm talking about the triple threat here between the Intercontinental Champion Braun Breaker, Sheamus, and Ludwig Kaiser. So, there were some nice spots. Sheamus coming up from behind Ludwig and giving him the 10 beats, from the crowd. That was pretty good. And I think Sheamus had a chance to win. The story here is that Sheamus, the only title he's never won is the Intercontinental title. So he almost had it, and then Ludwig pulled out the referee. So there's no DQ in a triple threat. So anyways, long story short, a couple of spears from Braun Breaker, a spear to Ludwig, and a spear to Sheamus, and Braun Breaker is the winner. So ratings. Vlad, all 3 of us thumbs up. Vlad thumbs up, Robert thumbs up, myself thumbs up. So we all liked it. I liked it a lot. I don't have anything between a thumbs up and 2 thumbs up, but I'll just say it was a strong thumbs up to me. But all right, Robert, do you want to start? You have anything to say about this? You want to give it?
No, I'll just keep it really short. My thumbs up is mainly for the work. It was a well worked match. Great.
Yep. I wanted to give it praise. That's the only reason it's on the show today, just to give it praise. But Vlad, you wanna give this praise or what?
Yeah, definitely.
Join us in praising.
Well, I mean, there wasn't that many matches on this card, right? I think there were 5 or 6.
5.
So 5, right? So definitely of the outside of the main event, this was the best thing on the show. The quality of the work was really, really strong and really, really good. I thought as far as triple threats go, because triple threats are tricky, right? Because there's the whole now no disqualification thing. The WWE is now fond of letting us know that, hey, you could just beat someone to death and that's fine in a triple threat. The work quality, despite that, was really, really good here. And man, Braun Breaker is just so good. So good, man. He's going to be phenomenal. He's definitely the next big thing. down the line, 10 years, he should still be on top. He should be on top of the wrestling world in like 10 years.
All right. So that's going to conclude our review of Survivor Series for the night. So we've done it. We've reviewed every single match from Survivor Series. It's another Survivor Series in the books. I don't know. Overall, it was an okay show, I think, but it could have been better. But I'm going to move on to the last angle. The last angle I have for today is from NXT. Robert, got to get some NXT on the show. Try to give them some love. At least mention them. But this is the whole angle with the tag teams, which intertwines with the men's Iron Survivor singles competition or qualifiers, right? So I think Ava here is giving an announcement. So if you guys want to hear how Ava controls, The Rock's daughter controls, Vlad didn't see this, by the way. Vlad doesn't review NXT with us. Robert watches it. But here's Ava announcing that the losers of the Iron Survivor qualifiers are going to get a second chance. So they're going to be in a four-way, the men's and the women. So they're going to get a second chance. So there's this guy, Eddie Thorpe. You know Eddie Thorpe, Robert? So he's been...
Yeah, but we'll get to that one.
He's been pestering Ava for, opportunities. And he got into that Iron Survivor qualifier. But that whole tag team melee, happened around him. So he was distracted. So he's going to think that this is not fair to him, that he is not getting a fair shot, that he got screwed in his match and now he has to win a four-way. So I'm going to do watch-along mode on this so we can see some scenes from NXT.
Oh, boy.
Yes. All right. Here we go.
Fire matches, but it's not over yet. Next week, there's going to be a last chance fatal four-way for the men and the women.
Let's go!
Whoever wins gets the last spot in the Iron Survivor Challenge.
Wait, so I'm the only one that had interference in their match, and now I got to beat 3 other guys.
Eddie, listen, it's the most fair.
Ava, I think I speak for everyone here when I say thank you so much for this opportunity.
You're welcome. Thank you, guys.
See, I'm with Lexus King. I mean, I think that Eddie Thorpe is asking for too much. They already got a second chance. She didn't have to give anyone a second chance.
Right.
Anyways, so she gets distracted with talking to, I think, Nathan Frazier and Axiom for a minute. But Eddie Thorpe still wants to talk to her, which has been a running thing. She's annoyed, she's busy, and Eddie Thorpe keeps, thinking his career is important or some shit. And he keeps fucking coming over her and bothering her. So here's the rest of this segment. So... something happens here.
Ava, I'm not done. Ava, I'm not done.
Eddie, listen, I've given you everything you wanted, all right? This is just last chance.
Ava, please.
Eddie, do not touch me. Just need a minute.
Anyway, so for the people listening, I guess I have to describe this because Eddie Thorpe grabbed Ava by the hand because he wants to talk to her. She got pissed. She's like, don't touch me. And she's also standing by the door. So all these tag teams who are in this tag team division melee thing, they start fighting because that's what they do. They just start brawling all the time. And one of them bumps into the door and knocks Ava down. All right, so they're going to come back from commercial and Ava's going to be hurt. The doctors are going to be watching her.
Just need a minute.
And there's Shawn Michaels, the general manager, not the general manager, I guess the producer of NXT.
Yeah.
So, the Heartbreak Kid is, I don't know if this is his first appearance on our podcast, but anyways, so here's Shawn Michaels watching Ava and asking her if she's okay.
I was talking to Eddie, and then
Shawn, I can explain. Explain what? I was just trying to talk to Ava. What the hell is wrong with you? What do you mean? She stopped at the door. She put her here. Put your hands on her. Get out of here.
Damn. Intense scene. So, for people not watching and just listening, Shawn Michaels grabbed Eddie Thorpe and by the lapels and put him up against the wall. Very dramatic scene. So he's watching out for, I don't know, is Shawn Michaels known to be good friends with The Rock or something? He's watching.
No, he's just looking out for the talent, the NXT talent. He's basically the boss.
So Eddie Thorpe very maturely just walks away, even though it wasn't really his fault. Although he did put his hands on her. So, anyways, very intense scene. I thought it was a good scene. So what did I give this? I gave it Well, there's other things involved in this.
Yeah.
I rated this whole angle as everything, involving the men's Iron Survivor and the tag team stuff. So I gave it a half thumbs up. But if I were to just focus in on this Eddie Thorpe, Shawn Michaels stuff, I would give this part 2 thumbs up because I thought this was really good.
So,
But
okay.
Robert gave it a half thumbs up, but
Yeah.
also, like I said, he reviewed other things involved in the whole angle that I didn't really talk about here. But
Right.
if you want to talk about just this one segment,
Yeah, I'll just be really brief. I do think this segment was cool. The only reason why I only gave it half thumbs up, and it's interesting because you asked me if I know who Eddie Thorpe is. Yes, but I don't care for him, and that's my main issue is like it involves people that I don't care about, even though I know who that is. But the scene itself was cool. But I don't know if it involved people that I actually like actively follow, like whenever they show up, I'm like 100% engaged, right? Like when they show up on screen, then I would have liked it a lot more. I'm just like, okay, I don't care about this guy.
well, yeah, I
That's
mean,
it.
they must see something in Eddie Thorpe to want to, give him this rub from Shawn Michaels, I think. But
Yeah. We'll
Vlad,
see.
Any comments on this? I know you didn't watch NXT, but do you want to say something about this?
I don't know Eddie Thorpe from Eddie Jones. I don't know who the heck this is. I seemed like an interesting segment from what I saw. Is Eddie Thorpe supposed to be a heel, a face in this situation? Like, he seemed like he could, or is he like a gray area character?
I don't know. I don't think he's either. Really, he's just a guy trying to make it and trying to come
Yeah.
up. He keeps going into Ava's office, asking him for matches, and she would be like, "I'm busy,
Well,
I'm busy, not right now, Eddie, not right now." That's all we've seen from him.
Well, if he wasn't a heel before, he is now.
I see. Well, yeah, but I mean,
I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know because her getting hit in the doorway wasn't his fault, but her being in the doorway, I guess, was his fault because he keeps bothering her with stupid-ass questions.
Yeah, exactly. That was a good point, Vlad. I was like, was it really his fault? Because Shawn Michaels really grabbed him, like he was trying to explain, like but he did grab her arm though. That's kind of why he's like, you put your hands on her. So I think that's really the reason that Shawn Michaels got all crazy on him. But okay. Right. All right, that'll conclude my show for the day. That's all 10 angles that we've got, or 9 angles and 1 discussion, actually. But I got some honorable mentions. I try to do 3 honorable mentions for some things that I don't want to really go through in detail every week, but I'll just mention them because they deserve a mention on the show. So what do I got first? I will mention also, by the way, since we're on the topic of NXT, that couple things. Bischoff is coming on Tuesday, so he's going to be there. He's joining in on that Trick Williams Ridge Holland feud for some reason. I don't know why, but okay, fine. If they can get Bischoff in there, make it something interesting. And then another thing, Robert, Lola Vice and Jada Parker. That's still not over. Even though she got hit with a brick in the face and lost, she wants another match. So I don't know.
I really like both of them, so I'm glad they're still feuding.
No, yeah, me too. I mean, it's a feud that I'm happy to see continue.
Yeah.
It's probably at the point where usually I would say the feud should end, but fuck it, you know what I mean? But all right, my honorable mentions. That's NXT for the day. What do I got? I got the Intercontinental Championship that me and Vlad were upset when they had the Women's United States Championship. But you know what? I think I've changed my tune. I've thought about it more, and I think WWE's writing is more cohesive now, and I think they can use with a mid-card title as long as they don't forget about it. So I'm on board with this.
I think Vlad's probably thinking this should have been a dishonorable mention.
Well, Vlad gave this 2 thumbs up, 2 thumbs down.
Yeah, I thought for a second I was on drugs and I gave it 2 thumbs up. Like, when did that happen?
No,
okay.
Robert gave it nothing. Robert's indifferent to this, so he gave it a 0.
Which is fair.
Yeah, so he doesn't care either way. I'm fine with it. I do think that we had this discussion a long time ago that they need less titles, but okay, if they have a plan for this, fuck it. I'm giving this a half thumbs up. Fine.
Well, I just don't think there's enough talent or ability for the women currently that I'm seeing that they're going to be able to carry.
They're coming up. Don't worry. Like we said, Jada Parker, Kalani Jordan, Julia, Zarya. Jordan Grace. I could go on forever.
Okay, well, that may or may not be the case. I guess we'll see. I mean, I'm not going to judge NXT because I don't really watch it. Obviously, I'm not a fan of things I did see at NXT. So, but that doesn't mean that there's not talented women out there that could probably have this Intercontinental Women's title. I just don't think it's necessary at this point in time for them to have a secondary champion. I don't know. It just seems unnecessary, and I'll leave it at that.
Well, SmackDown is moving to 3 hours starting in January, and Raw is going to be 3 hours.
Why do you have to keep reminding us of this terrible
goodness.
Yeah, I know.
so
well, I'm just saying they have more airtime to fill, so fuck it. They might as well do
All right. I mean, I guess in some ways, because they're going to have these women matches anyways, you're saying it might as well be for a title, right?
Yeah, and it's worked out in NXT because they have that women's North American title that is owned by Fallon Henley right now. But I think that those have been some good feuds for that title, so I don't mind it. Better than them fighting for nothing. How many blood feuds can you come up with? Sometimes you just got to fight for a title. And it could lead to a feud, maybe. So
I don't know. I
got you. I gotta move on.
I just don't know.
Unless Robert has something to say, let me move on to my next honorable mention.
Nah, that's nothing else to say.
Yeah. All right. So the next one is also from Raw. My next honorable mention is The Miz and Final Testament feuding with the Wyatt Six. So the Final Testament actually got over on the Wyatt Six. They were the first people to put them down and leave them laying the week before. So then this week, Miz got word that the Wyatts are in the house. So it kind of got everybody moving. Like let's go look for them. And they told Scarlett, wait here, because I think they threatened her or something. I forgot exactly, but they're worried for her. So they told her to stay in the locker room while they go do business. And Scarlett is here looking at the mirror, and I think she sees Nikki Cross in the mirror. So that's all they show in this segment. And then The Miz and Karrion Kross, which I like. I like the the thing they got going with Miz and Karrion Kross, the little chemistry they got where Karrion Kross is always threatening to beat his ass, and The Miz is a little scared of him, but they're sort of allies still. Anyways, so they get back to the locker room, and Scarlett has gone crazy. So the Wyatts did something to her, and she's like, grabbing Karrion Kross and hitting him and stuff, and just looking all crazy. And Karrion Kross is like, who did this to you? And they look at the mirror, and the mirror says, everyone has something to lose. So there you go. That's a little angle that we reviewed on our YouTube post. If you guys want the whole review of Raw, it's in the description below. But for this angle, what did we give it? We all gave it a half thumbs up. So we all actually kind of like this. Although Vlad did make a comment about Scarlett's acting. That was
yeah, that's why the only reason I gave it a half thumbs up is because I enjoyed it so much.
Are you for real? I thought you were making fun of her acting.
Well,
no,
yes,
I took it as you actually liking it.
Oh, interesting.
Well, yes, in a sense, yes, I did. But yes, it was obviously also very funny too. I think that's what I liked. I think that's why I enjoyed it. Come on, because this thing is ridiculous. This whole feud is ridiculous. I might as well get a laugh out of it. The thing is, my question would have been not like, who did this to you? Like, what did they do to you? Like, what the hell happened to her? Why was she in such a state where she was like, didn't know who was coming at her and what was going on? Like, it was weird. But
yeah, no, I thought the same thing, Vlad. That made no sense. Like, what exactly could they have done to her to make her go psycho crazy like this?
Yeah, like I didn't get that. I didn't get that part.
I guess the Wyatts have some superpowers, kind of like Bray Wyatt did. Maybe, I don't know. They have magical evil powers or something. I don't know. But anyways, I thought it was amusing. But my last honorable mention, unless Robert had something to say about Scarlett, if you have any comments. No. All right. Last thing on the show. I got it's R-Truth. Because R-Truth and Pete Dunne are in a thing somehow. So R-Truth showed up to Judgment Day's hangout. So this was another angle, but during the middle of this angle, R-Truth just shows up to his former stablemate's hangout spot. I guess he used to be in Judgment Day, sort of. And he's like, I need a place to hide out because Butch is looking for me. Because he keeps calling Pete Dunne Butch just to fuck with him. And Butch is looking for him. And he's like, I need a high. So he gets thrown out of the Judgment Day's locker room because they don't want him hanging out there. And then what we were watching earlier with Miz and Karrion Kross walking through the hallway, and then they bump into Pete Dunne. So he's like, he sees Miz. He's like, you used to be friends with R-Truth. Have you seen R-Truth? And Miz is like, what the fuck? No, I don't fucking like that guy. So that's all it was. The whole thing with Butch or Pete Dunne and R-Truth was these two little segments that they threw them in with other angles. And supposedly, he didn't find him, I guess. He was there at Raw. This was the only involvement Pete Dunne had on Raw. He was looking for R-Truth, and I guess they didn't show that he found him. So, all right, that's the whole angle. Let's see what my review was. Our review for this angle. I gave it a thumbs up. I think it's interesting. I think it's interesting and unique, personally. Robert gave it a half thumbs up, so he must have been slightly amused. And Vlad with the indifferent. He doesn't give a fuck about this either way.
Yeah, I think while they were looking for each other, I was looking for a bathroom. I don't know. I don't know what the hell. Come on, R-Truth versus Butch. That's not something anybody should care about.
At least they came up with an angle for them rather than just doing a cold match. But, okay, Pete Dunne doesn't like to be called Butch, and he will find R-Truth eventually and get him back for that. But, okay, Robert, any thoughts on that before I end the show?
It's amusing. That's it.
I mean, it was amusing. Fine.
All right. Sorry. All right, I'm losing my voice now. We've been on for an hour and a half. I'm sorry, guys. But we had a lot to talk about. I'm going to cut clips, and the show is really coming along, man. I got to remind people to subscribe. I like how the show is sounding lately, and I think we're at 400 and something subscribers, which is pretty nice. 440 something. Can't believe it. I would have never guessed a year ago that we would have come this far. But we would like to thank our subscribers, people who watch us, anybody who watches us. We enjoy doing it. But if you haven't subscribed, be sure to hit like and subscribe because you've got to hear the Malapert Smart Podcast. We are the premier wrestling review podcast on the internet. Weekly reviews of all the modern wrestling. We're going to go back and review some old wrestling too when we get a chance. But for right now, if there's anything on this podcast that you haven't, we didn't talk about, that you want to find out what we thought of from the week, you can go to our review posts, which are also in the description of this video or in our channel. You go to the posts or community tab, and every angle from American television, from Raw, NXT, Dynamite, Ring of Honor, Impact, SmackDown, Rampage, Collision, and any PLE or pay-per-view they might be, also from any of the major companies in America. We got reviews for that. Thumbs up, thumbs down, and then we got Vlad and Robert here every Sunday if they can make it. And I think that's it. Anything else I got to remind the people of, Vlad, or what?
No, I was only going to say I was surprised you didn't mention, as one of your honorable mentions, Kamille and quitting being the bodyguard for Mercedes. I thought that would have been a much. I mean, if you're going to mention R-Truth and Butch, I think at least Kamille quitting is a little bit more significant.
Well, it was such a bad scene. I mean, I think we should. Maybe you're right. We should have mentioned it just as a conclusion because we followed that whole program to the very end with Mercedes feuding with Statlander and all that. So I guess, but it was just such a dud ending. Like, they just abandoned it. They're like, you know what? I quit. I don't want to do this anymore. I'm leaving. She should leave AEW and never.
It was very. Yeah, I think we're just discussing how strange her booking was. I think is worth mentioning. Just like how they treated her as kind of like a flunky when she was supposed to be like the badass bodyguard defending like the smaller champion.
That was really the only idea they had for her. They're like, hey, you want to be on the show? This is what we got. He's like, all right.
Yeah,
all right.
Very odd because she's like, right, she's such, she's tall and strong. And I don't know about her work. Maybe some of you guys have seen some of her matches elsewhere. I don't know. I haven't, that I can think of. But man, they really seem to hate her based on her booking, right? Like, what did she do?
Is that what you want them to do with Ricky Starks, Robert? You want them to put him on the show? They should do that. They should just bury him like Vince McMahon would. Like, oh, you're leaving, huh? We're gonna make you lose every day. Make him look like Kamille.
I don't want him to be buried. Why would I want that?
Yeah, well, because you're like, why doesn't he use them?
But real quick, but do you
Well,
think
yeah, I
Tony
mean,
Khan-
but
sorry.
but by using him, I don't mean like use him just to get buried, like because we see
Anyways,
star potential in him, so I don't want to see him get
yeah.
buried.
All right. Well, that was a discussion we had earlier on Ricky Starks. Vlad, last thing. Did you want to say something?
I was just gonna say, do you think in Tony Khan's mind, the thing with Kamille, he thinks now because she left Mercedes, like somehow that's gonna get her over. And in his mind, this is like a way to like make her babyface, and now she's gonna do something. I don't know.
Maybe.
To me, it seems crazy, like the way they've done this. But maybe that's what Tony has in mind. Like he's gonna try to push her. I don't know. Again, we can only guess.
This is gonna get her the crowd behind her. The fact that she finally turned on Mercedes. But yeah, the booking in AEW. Sometimes he has the idea of something that's been done before in wrestling, but he doesn't quite understand the ins and outs of the psychology and why it works. So he just does it wrong. So yeah, that's unfortunate. But okay. All right then. That'll be it for the Malapert Smart podcast. Thank you to Robert and Vlad for enjoying us, and enjoy my review slide of the week in review. WWE and AEW pictures are going to play us out. Thank you guys. All right, we'll see you next week.
Turn on the lights, feel the beat. Person tails can't be beat. Join the crew, take your seat. Welcome to the wrestle heat. Now the bird's smart, time to fly. Stories don't catch your eye. Talking champs till we die. The smoke's always high. Fights and myths always say. Heroes rise till and sway. In the ring night and day. Wrestling talk, come and stay. Now the bird's smart, time to fly. Stories don't catch your eye. Talking champs till we die. The smoke's always high. The mat crashing cheer. All the news you wanna hear. Wealth and fame always near. With the crew, have no fear. Now the bird's smart, time to fly. Stories don't catch your eye. Talking champs till we die. The smoke's always high.